come I don't see?
There we go. Come on, people. Let's see some smiles out there. Oh, come on. There we go. Now we're getting there. You know, this reminds me of, who was it? Miss Sally in Romper Room. I can see you, and I can see you. Oh, my.
Is the smile and a good attitude mandatory?
Yeah, it helps. It helps.
That and a magic mirror.
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking for my magic mirror. It's got to be the low bid, though.
I see Salvador Dali someplace.
All right. So we're recording. I see the red light.
I did it.
Okay. So should we go? Does it look like everybody's here? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to see so many smiling faces. There's a little bit of movement there. People in the background. That's good. We have a few updates that I wanted to share with you in somewhat semi-chronological order. The first is about commencement. Commencement is now scheduled for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. It is going to be run by program probably in 2 to 3 sessions in the Tilden. It'll be live streamed. It'll have students in it, and we'll have provisions for faculty and staff to be in it as well. And the notion is we would enable our students to walk across the stage. We'll have some type of recognition. I'm not sure we'll be shaking hands by September 1st, but the notion is we're going to move ahead with a commencement plan. We're going to attempt to do the entire college in 2 to 3 sessions on September 1st. More details will be forthcoming. We'll be getting the word out to students as well. We also will be distributing lawn signs to our graduates in the latter half of May, and these will be made available through the college to the families of the graduates. All right. Just some other pieces I wanted to reiterate. And the first is that continuing through this academic year, there will be no layoffs. Last week during a Zoom meeting with our congressional delegation and the community college presidents, Senator Warren spoke to the legislative intent of the CARES Act, of which we are getting some funding through the CARES Act. And one of the legislative intents there was that the colleges would not have any layoffs. So we're going to do our best to adhere to that request, and we intend to make that happen here. As far as with the pandemic, and as we look to the fall, and we talk about a bridge to what is effectively a pharmaceutical intervention, whether that's on the global scale, assessing able testing to validate the herd immunity across the community, or the development of a vaccine. Until we reach that stage, we're back on the slow, steady transition, ultimately to get back to life the way it was in February. So what does that mean in terms of what do we see for the fall semester? We see a continuation of online and remote learning, but to that we also see the addition of hybrid courses that would be added to the course schedule. The hybrid courses are about reducing the large groups that would be on campus. They would be scheduled so that we don't have big clusters at any given time. And it would also increase the teaching and learning within the labs sections and within the specialty programs, and where projects may be going on that require students to gather in small groups. The key is, ultimately we want to get back to where we were with face-to-face, and I think everybody collectively agrees to that. I see nods of heads across my computer screen right now. The question is, it doesn't look like, based on the best available data that we have now, and as we look at what's playing out in other parts of the world, that we'll be there by September. We're going to be taking the incremental approach, that we're going back, and the preparation will be hybrid courses, getting together a few times over the course of the semester or the Q term, and people would be wearing the face mask, the gloves, and we'll be keeping the distance. In short, we'll be adhering to the CDC and the Massachusetts Department of Public Health guidelines. And yes, we are already procuring the PPE so that we have adequate supplies when the fall rolls around. If you don't have your own face mask, that custom version of whatever works for you, the expectation is that we would have it, and we would have it available to students as well. As we ramp up for the staff also, we're continuing to watch the governor's directive on as businesses begin to open up, and the expectation there is that we will begin to ramp up some of the office activity, but it's also, the expectation is, as we try to continue to keep the numbers of people apart at that 6 feet distance, we may not have everybody in every day of the week. We may have some shift schedules depending on the layout, and we're looking at the plexiglass applications in those areas where there's congregations of people that are getting together within that 6 feet spatial limitation. So we're looking to starting back to where we should be with the start of the fall semester, and I appreciate everybody's patience as we move through this. I know what is it, week 6 that we're on now. This is it's beginning to get a little old, but we're going to see it through to its end. Arlene will talk in a little bit about the process for deciding on the hybrid courses that'll be offered in the fall, and how we can go about making that move as smooth as possible. The other piece that I just wanted to call to your attention, and Mia, if you could put up that first slide. When we look at the broad-based response on how people are responding to their plans for the fall, and this is based on a survey of last week. Did y'all see that slide? All right, well, I'll try to do it from memory. There we go. So we have an estimated 28 million Americans have canceled their education plans for the fall. 11% of the total population, based on this survey, they're changing their plans. What does that mean for us? Actually, that might be a benefit for the community colleges. As you scroll ahead one more, Mia. Click, there we go. As we see the intention of some of the decisions now based on where we are with the coronavirus, there's a growth in the interest towards the community college. And we are in fact in the process of embarking on a campaign that is directed at the households where we have students in high schools due to graduate and people are beginning to figure out, what am I going to do in the fall, especially if, as a nation, we're all in this situation where schools, universities aren't ready to open up. And you're thinking, am I going to send my son and daughter off to the university to live in a dorm with 500 other kids when we have all the threat of the coronavirus going on? So we're trying to educate the families where students will have another option available where they can continue on with their education, build up their credits to transfer on, and pick up without losing time when things get back closer to normal. Can you scroll one more? Yeah. And when we look at the broader community, we look at what people are thinking in terms of education and training for the next 6 months. There's a preponderance of the weight around programs, degrees, and certificates that are more reflective of the community college, what we have to offer. So the sort of the gist of this is we're in a good position in terms of getting the word out of what we have to offer and enabling the people in our community to continue on with their higher education plans, working through this while not losing time. Because as I reiterated to the students last week with the forum and the follow-up discussion, we don't get a do-over when it comes to the schedule. We don't get to add this time on at the end because we're all in this quarantine situation. We just have to figure out the best way to move forward and move ahead. So that will roll out. And then the other piece I just wanted to highlight was on the laptop distribution. We are expecting another shipment of laptops to arrive next week that will have to be set up and scanned for the software. So that'll take a few more days before they're actually live. There are a few more laptops in the inventory to be loaned out should students need them, but we continue to acknowledge the gap that we have in the availability of technology and the challenges that we have in certain locations with connection to the broadband that we're continuing to poke on at the federal level in terms of policy as the Congress looks at rolling out an infrastructure improvement piece of legislation with funding attached to that. We're advocating that they also look at including the access to broadband in communities where connection remains a problem. So on that note, I am going to shift to Arlene. There you are. Okay. Your box is lighted up. That must mean you're ready to go. All right. So Arlene, if you want to pick up and talk a little bit about finals.
Great. Will do. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. And I want to echo the President's enthusiasm and encouragement to keep on going. We know this is week 6, what I have informally called Cranky Week. Just keep smiling. We will get through this. And as Aaron Wan said at the beginning of this, let's practice patience. We still have a little bit while to go, but I am thankful to see you all here. And to be able to talk a bit about some of the reminders for the end of the semester. Believe it or not, we started this out in the middle of the semester and now we're wrapping up. So cheers to all of you for getting us through this. So finals begin next week and go through the 12th of May. So as I mentioned in an email I sent out last week, I believe I sent it out. There are a couple of ways you could do your finals. You could do them synchronously, meaning that schedule that Sky created. Thank you, Sky. And I sent out that you're going to hold your finals on those days at that time. You'll be watching the students through Zoom. You could also do it asynchronously, meaning you submit a final exam and students can do it during a set period of time. And some faculty members I know have decided to do a separate assignment and in lieu of a final exam. As I've always said, whatever you decide and whatever works for your class, please communicate to the students. And I certainly have learned in the past couple of weeks that sometimes I think I'm communicating enough, and I don't think in this environment you're ever communicating enough. That's certainly the one lesson I've learned. So please share that information with others, communicate to students, and just keep repeating the message, because I think there's a lot of times we, in this whole change, may not be hearing what we need to hear when we need to hear it. So please follow up with students and communicate that. Final grades are due May 15th. So just a couple of reminders. I will be following up with an email on this, but I do want to remind everyone that at the very start of this, a group of us led by most of the VP staff, but I do want to single out Dean McCary and Lucy Holmes, revised our current pass-fail policy just for this semester. Our intention was to provide students with a bit of a safety net. We know that the shift was quick. We know that it had to be done. It was urgent. And we also know that that added to general anxiety that a student might have, especially since we did this pivot at midterm time. So right after midterm exams or midterm assignments. And it was so sudden. So I want to thank everyone involved, but definitely single out Lucy Holmes and Dean McCary for revising the pass-fail policy on this. We were, just to let you know, we were the first community college to do this. We received a little, or I received a little pushback among my affinity groups saying that, you know, we shouldn't do this. And then a few weeks later, they were emailing us to find out what our policy was. Just for the record, UMass Amherst, Dartmouth, all the UMass campuses have said that they would accept a pass-fail, a P as a grade for transfer students. So kudos to everyone involved with this. And as a reminder, students are allowed to select a pass-fail grade to withdraw or to change to an audit for any course, not just courses that we've identified as pass-fail, for any course. And they can do this through Monday, May 4th. That's this Monday. Now, while the decision we're saying is to the the decision is not made alone. A student needs to, electing to do the pass-fail, and I'll resend this email, so don't worry. I see everyone jotting. Don't worry, I'll resend it. A student electing to do pass-fail must email the registrar's office at registration@capecod.edu and notify their course instructor. Okay, this is not a decision made on their own. This has to be done in tandem. And I do know, I've heard back from Dean McCary and from others and from Lucy that, you know, if a student is choosing pass-fail but has a C+, there's the conversation of, can you go forward with a C+? Do you need the pass-fail? So we just want to make sure that there are conversations had, because while this may help a student short-term, there may be some complications long-term. So we want to make sure that students are aware of that when they make the decision. So please make sure, and instructors, all faculty, please remember, submit a final grade. So whatever that grade is, please submit it. The registrar's office has, even if a student decides to take the P grade, the registrar's office will have the grade that was awarded. So please continue the same process, submit a final grade. The student may choose to take a P as a final grade. That the student initiates the process. It is not a decision done alone. And then the P grade will be noted on a transcript. However, our registrar's office will have the grade that was awarded. So please make sure, submit the grades as usual. So if you have any questions, Lucy did a fantastic job at developing sort of frequently asked questions that I will be mailing out on how to advise the student if a student chooses to go this goes through that direction. So please remind students that this is an option. And again, kudos, because back in March, I actually had a colleague who said there was no way, no how that this would happen on our campus. And I think we made this inclusion with the goal of keeping the student here and making sure they felt safe and felt like they could continue on with their classes. So thank you all. Summer 1 and Summer 2, we're already talking summer. Okay, so we're starting Summer 1 in a couple of weeks, and Summer 2, as we noted, we're going to do remote and online learning for those. So formally face-to-face classes will be going remote, and we'll be offering the online courses as well. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Again, we don't know when we can go back on campus, but for Summer 1 and Summer 2, we are sticking with remote and online. And I do want to say kudos to TLC and to Tom Schaefer, that whole team has really guided us through this entire process. And Tom, guess what? Will continue to guide us, right? Right? That's right. All right. Thank you, Tom. And I know that everyone's wondering about the fall. So we started conversations this week based on the decision that we can do a sort of what I call the soft opening in the fall, and allowing some smaller groups of classes onto campus to do some work. We met, the deans who oversee programming and I met to just start discussing how are we going to decide who goes on campus and all of that. So we right now are looking at the courses we know either have a lab fee, need to do group work. So certainly we were discussing fine and performing arts, and seeing how we can do small groups to allow them back on campus to perform whatever the project and the task, the classroom work. So there are a list of them. Those are just a few. We're still in conversations, but we will have something sent out. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, any concerns. But right now, that's kind of where we started. Doesn't mean where we're in, but it's definitely where we're starting. We are concerned that we're going to have a group of students, nursing students and dental hygiene students who are going to be applying in the spring, and we want to make sure that they have the experience of being in a lab. So these are some of the questions and comments and concerns that we have. If you have any, please feel free to share them with me. You can email me at arodriguez, and do know that I check my office phone. So even though you know my phone number's on the signature line, I do check my office phone daily. So please feel free to give a call or email if you have any questions. And if the president would allow me one more agenda item, please. Okay, thank you. I think that was a nod. Just one quick, all right, that's the hazards of a Zoom. You really can't tell if the heads are moving. I had a meeting thanks to IT. Can we give a round of applause to IT and just thumbs up or whatever to IT? Because many of you have, texted, emailed me over the weekends to say the student really needs a laptop by Monday, by Tuesday. And guess what? The students have a laptop by Monday, by Tuesday. And all I do, honestly, is format the email and forward it. It's IT that gets everything ready and for our students. So now is the time that we start calling back the laptops, because we're going to have a whole new group of students or additional students who will need laptops. So right now, and I will email details and make sure we communicate the details, we're looking at asking students to send an email to those students who borrowed laptops. We're asking that they send an email to help desk to say they're ready to return their laptop. They need to make an appointment. It'll be short 15-minute appointments for students to come and drop off the laptops. There will be a protocol because we are still under those guidelines where we need to make sure there's a minimum amount of exchange, and laptops, when they are returned, need to be decontaminated. In addition, the laptops, the cord, all of that needs to be decontaminated. So we need to make sure we protect our IT staff as we go through that process. But we're looking at late May for a deadline. We want to make sure that students have enough time to do their exams, to do any work. If you give incompletes, it allows them a chance to do that work. But if they have finished with the laptops right now, they can send an email to help desk and begin the process of returning their laptops. That is it for now. You are an awesome group. Thank you so much for everything, and keep smiling.
Thank you, Arlene. Paul, Would you like to talk about EAP? And I think Mia has a slide to go along with that, or 2 slides.
Excellent. Good afternoon. I'll certainly start with more high praise for Tom and the IT department for helping us through this new level of engagement. So add me to the thanks. Let's see, there's the slide. All right, just before we take a look at the slide, I wanted to mention that a number of people said, you know, fine, we have the AP, it's been around for a while, the telephone number is known, we've sent it out in messages, but is there something else that we can do with regard to the EAP, a different level of engagement, even while we're in this remote level of operation? And so I had a very long conversation with them. We talked about some other options that might be provided. And one of them that was based on a sense that while the private telephone call that's confidential has been very useful and will continue to be offered, they had a sense, which I shared as well, that there might be a benefit from some level of group interaction where there might be a dialogue and hear the exchanges and concerns of other people. And what's come out of that is this webinar that they're offering called Getting the Best of Stress. You can see that on the slide. Now, the tricky part about their webinars is they are capacity managed. And so we had to find a date and a time when we could end up having any number of members of the campus community eligible to participate in this session. And so the session is scheduled for Tuesday, May 5th at 11 o'clock. You really don't have to write all this down. I'll be sending out a detailed email tomorrow with all of the sign-on instructions, which will also include the dial-in options for anyone who's not near a computer to participate. But as you can see, the topics on the webinar are focused on stress, common sources, the upside of stress, recognizing normal reactions and learning how to respond to it differently, and some suggested stress management techniques. So if you can at least pencil in the time, which is next Tuesday, May 5th, starting at 11 o'clock, you'll need to dial in or engage about 10 to 15 minutes ahead of time, but that will all be in the instructions that I'll be sending out to the campus community tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. So you'll have all those details. By the way, the instructions are easy. If you do have computer access, there's literally a click to join link in the message. So it's not like you have to remember codes or passwords or anything of that sort. And as you can see, the access for private engagement with the EAP has been, is, and will continue to be available by dialing 844-263-1982. The other 2 things I wanted to mention, one is the status of the search for Vice President of Finance and Operations. I want to thank those of you that were able to participate in the campus forums we had this week. For those of you that were not a part of this, the search committee identified 3 finalists. Each one of the finalists earlier this week, beginning with Monday through Wednesday, participated in the traditional campus-wide forum. We obviously had to do that a bit differently now that we have this remote engagement, so it was all done by Zoom. But the good news is the forums have been videotaped. And for those of you that were not able to participate, if you look on the 4Cs page, you will see the links to see the videos so that you can observe the interaction, the Q&A, and the demeanor, for want of a better term, of each one of the 3 finalists. And also we have a survey that your participation in viewing the video will automatically generate, so you can share your responses just as a way to provide input on the candidates. And the third and final thing to talk about is it's the season for open enrollment. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the deadline has been extended to June 1st. So I believe the mailings that went out from the state had the May 1st deadline before they actually realized that it might have been a good idea to rethink that. But the fact of the matter is, the deadline is not tomorrow. The deadline is June 1st. Again, I would encourage all of you to make the proper choices as soon as you can. The process has not changed. By that I mean, if you do not intend to change any of your current enrolled benefits, you need not do anything. The only exception is if you have a healthcare spending account or a dependent care spending account. As has always been the past, you'll have to input those values directly. But if you're not making any of the changes to any of the benefits that you've enrolled in, you need not do anything. But if you're going to continue to enroll in the healthcare spending account or the dependent spending account, you've got to make those adjustments by June 1st. That's all I've got. Thank you very much.
So Paul, you're going to send out a link. So if people want to make any adjustments to those spending accounts, they'll have the form.
Sure, I'll put that link in the message that I send out tomorrow as well.
Great, thank you, thank you. So I believe we have addressed all the questions that we received as of this morning. So at this point in time, we want to, how do we want to do this? The hand waving or the blue hand, Mia?
Yes, if they raise their hand, we will call on them and unmute them. So if you raise your hand,
There's Laurie Crowley.
yes.
So I don't have a question. I just wanted to let you all know the President and VP Rodriguez, who first asked me about making face masks. I just want to let everybody know we are over 850 made.
Wow.
So they all went to Cape Cod Healthcare, and we are now moving on to we've sent 147 to a nursing home that contacted us from Fairhaven, Massachusetts, and we have one in Sandwich now we're working on. So it's really morphed into a second job, I just have to let you know. But it's been really nice. I've met a lot of great people.
That's phenomenal.
So, that's my news.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions? Uh-huh.
I have Paul Alexander.
Oh,
Hi, I just wanted to add a bit more information on observing the links for the VP Finance candidate. The follow-up survey will not automatically be generated. We're going to take a look at those people that have observed the videos and then send the surveys to you. So it's a bit of a different step than what I mentioned. But your input and your opportunity to view the candidates is still welcome and appreciated. Thank you.
thank you.
And we have Claudine Barnes.
So I just actually want to thank the administration. I don't have a question, but doing impact bargaining at all of the colleges on behalf of MCCC, there are some very stark differences between how this college has handled all of this crisis and how some of the other colleges have. And the fact that we, unlike the other schools, are not dealing with layoffs, that the college is allowing everyone with face-to-face classes to move remote, whereas other schools have just simply canceled all of those classes. It's been a very stark difference, and I just want to say I'm grateful for that. That you've really done everything you can to support us and to make sure that we can still do our jobs. And I'm just grateful. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, and thanks to everybody for stepping up to the plate to make this all possible, because it's truly a team effort.
And next we have Bill Berry.
Hi, I just want to echo Claudine's sentiments and thank the administration and all the faculty and staff who just stepped right up and engaged and thought creatively about ways to keep our students engaged and keep keep rolling towards success. And I wanted to take a minute because we're all together. I saw Richard Summers and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to see Richard Summers before he retires. And then I thought of all of the people who are retiring. And I just wanted to take a moment to say congratulations, best wishes, and we'll see you soon when we can all get back together, to all the people who've retired, who are retiring this semester. So thank you.
Just as sort of a sidebar to that, on the Emeritus Awards, we're looking to do that also at the September 1st commencement. So make sure that's penciled in with everything else.
And then Donna Walker, you had your hand raised.
I just wanted to ask, have we at this point suspended search committees, I guess?